Hey, what's up everyone, and welcome to today's video. This episode will guide you through the issues of the Uncanny X-Men published by Marvel Comics in 1984. Issue 181.
Issue 180.
In the previous issue, we saw how a handful of the mightiest heroes and villains of Earth materialized in a faraway segment of the universe, only to be surprised by the destruction of the solar system, after which they saw a planet get formed from all kinds of parts coming from different directions. They then got spoken to by a voice which seemed to come from a terror in space itself. It promised them their heart's desires if they would slay their enemies. Galactus immediately acknowledged his power and approached the terror in space, but he and Dr. Doom, who followed him, got repulsed by the force behind the voice. All of them then got dumped on the same planet which had just been formed. And after some alliances and enemies had been made, Dr. Doom approached both the villains as well as the heroes, trying to convince them to not take part in this game set up by this force from beyond. But his meeting with the heroes did not go as he had set out for it to go, and he disposed of all of them. And as the heroes tried to get their bearings, Iron Man noticed others approaching them on his armor scanners. He told the others what seemed to be inevitable, namely, the villains, led by Kang the Conqueror, have launched their attack on the heroes. Secret Wars number 2. The villains are surprising the heroes with their attack, but the heroes quickly form their fighting positions. And even though not all combatants on either side like their compatriots, they do all fight in unison. Hero against villain. As it seems, the villains have brought some heavy weaponry along with them, knocking many of the heroes off their feet and some even unconscious. Cap then rallies everyone and tells them to bring the fight to the villains instead, and to take out their guns first. Even the Hulk, easily the strongest one of the heroes, is amazed at the powers these weapons have. And as he tries to throw a huge chunk of debris at the villains, it just gets blasted to pieces while still in his hand, causing the pieces to scatter all around him, endangering the other heroes, especially the ones who had been knocked out cold. The villains, led by Kang the Conqueror, just keep on pouring the attack. Kang is well aware that the battle is not done until they are all dead. He says it's unfortunate that he had to slay Dr. Doom because he would have been of great help. But unbeknownst to Kang, Dr. Doom has not been slain at all. As a matter of fact, Doom is currently flying across the planet, reflecting on all that has happened in the past few hours. How all of them got teleported away from planet Earth, saw a solar system get all but destroyed, then a planet being created, and how, after that, they all got addressed by an unknown creature from beyond, promising to fulfill their every desire if they would only slay their enemies. And then, almost instantly, Galactus approached a fissure in reality from which the voice spoke, demanding it to relieve Galactus of his everlasting hunger, and Dr. Doom himself followed in Galactus' tracks, only for both of them to get blasted out of space, and knocking them down to the same planet which had just been created by this force from beyond. When Doom woke up from this ordeal, he found Galactus still unconscious, and so he made his way to where he expected the villains to be at. And when he got there, he tried to convince the rest of them to not participate in this battle, to not play along in this immense forces game. But he found the villains too enamored with the idea of having their desires fulfilled, and his request fell on deaf ears. Having seen enough, and not wanting to end up in a conflict with these villains, he decided to blow up a part of the room they were all in, and leave the place immediately, in search of the one person on the planet who might understand what is going on here. His arch-nemesis, Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic of the Fantastic Four. He then got aboard a vessel and went to look for him, but got shot out of the air by Kang. And when the heroes, who could see the attack on the vessel from the place they were at, arrived on the scene and tried to help Doom, he realized he doesn't need these people's pity nor their help, and he simply blasted them all. And now, Doom has arrived back at the place he landed at, back to where Galactus' seemingly lifeless body is still lying around. Galactus, one of the greatest powers of this known universe, who simply got humbled by this Beyonder. And then, suddenly, as Doom lands next to Galactus' face, Galactus starts to stir, and to Doom's surprise, Galactus doesn't just get up, he doesn't roll over and get to his knees. No, Galactus simply rises and sets himself up straight. Doom addresses him. He wants to have a word with Galactus. But Doom simply gets ignored by him, as if he were some kind of gnat buzzing by his feet. And Doom realizes all too well his own insignificance to Galactus, and, in turn, Galactus' insignificance to the all-powerful Beyonder. He then starts to wonder if he, like the other villains, should just pay homage to the Beyonder and play his game. If he too should worship the Beyonder, or instead choose another path. Another path only Dr. Doom would dare. He then makes his way back to the fortress, thinking there might be things here which could be useful to him, fully aware that it will not have been left unguarded. He then gets attacked by defense drones, which oddly enough did not get detected by Doom's built-in sensors. Obviously, their technology is very advanced, which is exactly why Doom is here. He manages to take care of the drones, and one of them shatters the outer door on impact, allowing Dr. Doom entry to the fortress. All he needs to do now is disable the master defense control, which he easily does. And so, this place and its secrets now belong to Doom. As he makes his way through the fortress, he finds the other villains to not be here, which makes him think they have probably launched an ill-considered assault on the heroes. What he does find though, is the inert body of Ultra, the robot which was neutralized by Galactus, while they were still aboard the construct which got them to this part of the galaxy. Doom then considers the possibility of Ultron's adamantium body being of use to him when the others return, if they ever will. Perhaps he can make Ultron operational again. We then switch back to where the battle is taking place. Captain America is still leading the heroes and they have a plan for a counterattack, and it seems to be quite successful. While Iron Man and the Thing kept the villains occupied, they now fall back, to make room for Thor's attack. In the meantime, the Hulk starts to use his immense strength on the walking tank, piledriver and bulldozer were piloting. He breaks off one of the legs and it falls over, and Cyclops destroys the rest of it with his optic blast. The She-Hulk tries to get a hold of the Enchantress, but the strongest guardian goddess does not allow her to, and she slaps the She-Hulk away from her, even though she'd rather not dirty her hands on Earthlings. She then starts conjuring up her magic, but before she can, the She-Hulk quickly punches her in her face, launching her through the air. The rest of the villains have seen enough and realize they better retreat and regroup. This assault did not go as planned at all, regardless of the element of surprise in the alien weaponry. Thor asks Cap if they should chase them down, but Cap tells them to let them go for now. He thinks it's best for them to not scatter themselves and are better off consolidating their position as well as taking care of their prisoners. He then tells Storm to check out the surroundings, to see if there's any defensible shelter around. She does so, and as she's flying around, she notices the air feels thick on this planet, making it easy for her to keep herself in the air. As if the Beyonder deliberately made sure the fighting conditions are ideal, which suits Storm just fine. After a while, the heroes have made their way to a location which will serve as a shelter, and it's enormous. The Hulk says that he will enter first just in case, since he is the strongest and least vulnerable out of all of them. Something Cap says Thor and Iron Man might have a different opinion on, but he tells the Hulk to go ahead and make sure the place is safe. Nightcrawler can tell that Colossus is worried, and asks him what's up. He tells Nightcrawler that he hasn't seen Kitty Pryde's dragon Lockheed anywhere since after the battle, and he knows Kitty will be heartbroken if he doesn't return back to Earth with him. Wolverine then asks him what makes him so sure that he will be ever getting back to Earth, and tells him to just forget about the dragon. Sometime later, after the heroes have settled down in their new home, they have found various forms of technology, and thanks to the genius of Mr. Fantastic, they have been able to secure their prisoners, among other things. They have been placed in some form of psychostasis, thanks to the devices which control their aggression through brainwave modulation. Another piece of machinery they have found and put to use is a healing device which generates cells. Reed has put the Enchantress in the device immediately to heal her up. She received a massive blow to her head from the She-Hulk during their fight. Captain America then tells everyone he wants to meet up to make some plans. Even though they have won the first battle, he knows they haven't won the war yet. Not by a long shot. Wolverine is getting antsy and wants to go out and win this war already. But Cap tells him that this is a big planet and they don't even know where their foes are. All the villains which are still running around are dangerous and not to be taken lightly. Even though they do have the advantage now, he doesn't want them to blow it. And Wolverine tells him that he is nuts. Cap then sends out Thor, Iron Man and the Human Torch to patrol the fortress perimeter. He wants them to make sure they have a secure area within a 100-mile radius around it. The rest of the heroes will take turns in watching this place, and he wants to find a place which can be used as everyone's resting place and also a place to eat, and he wants to know if there's any food around here. Somewhere else, in the meantime, Magneto has made his home in some other kind of massive structure. The place he is at looks very alien and could even be considered terrifying. But not to the Master of Magnetism. He is lost in thought, and wonders if the others share his sense of destiny. How it's strange that on this weird and secret place in the universe, the fate of all existence hangs in the balance. Never before has he had thoughts of the possibility of ordinary men sharing the same feelings as members of the mutant race. Several hours later, over at the fortress previously occupied by the villains, the remaining villains return home. Dr. Octopus, the Molecule Man, the Absorbing Man and the Wrecker are not in the best of moods after their recent defeat. The Molecule Man is afraid of the heroes having come after them, and Dr. Octopus tells him he's getting sick of his whining. And that's when the Absorbing Man says that he's getting sick of all of them. The Wrecker tells them all to calm down now and that they've come home and can now figure out their next move. But the place which used to be their home is no longer theirs. It is now claimed by Dr. Doom. He stands at the entrance and welcomes the villains to Doom Base. They are surprised at the fact that he's still alive and well after Kang's attack. Something the Absorbing Man is willing to fix. All of them apart from the Molecule Man wants to attack Doom, but he doesn't allow them to even get close. Doom has Ultron attack them and they are easily dealt with. Doom, in the meantime, has rebuilt Ultron, empowered him with alien energies which none of them can endure. Not even the Absorbing Man. These villains now realize they are outmatched and are better off serving Doom. And Doom now allows them to enter Doom Base. Dr. Doom makes sure that Owen Reese, the Molecule Man, is doing alright. And Owen tells Doom that apart from being tired, he is fine. He tells Dr. Doom that having absolute control over all molecules has its perks. The Absorbing Man asks the Wrecker why Doom is being so nice to Owen, but the Wrecker tells him to be quiet. He then whispers back to the Absorbing Man that even though Owen is a weak and cowardly man, he's more powerful than all of them combined, due to the powers he possesses. The Molecule Man is convinced that everything will be alright now, with Doom being in charge, but Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man, doesn't care. All he cares about is getting a meal and some sleep. Dr. Octopus tells Dr. Doom that even though Doom is in charge now, he would like to know what his plans are, and what happened to Galactus. Doom then shows Otto where Galactus is at. He's over 4,000 miles removed from them, simply standing on a mountaintop, and Dr. Doom does not know for sure what his purpose is, even though he does have his suspicions. As for his plans, all Dr. Octopus needs to know for now is that the forces of Doom will triumph, and he tells Otto to rest for now. As Dr. Octopus walks off, he has some suspicions himself. Namely, if Doom's ambitions are merely to triumph in this little contest of heroes versus villains, or if they go beyond that, and whether he will destroy them all in the process, trying to achieve them, or immediately after fulfilling those ambitions. Sometime later, as night seems to fall over the headquarters of the heroes, a shadowy figure approaches the fortress silently, easily gaining access, silencing alarms and opening portals from within. Magneto is making his way to his target. Somewhere else in the fortress, Jennifer Walters the She-Hulk and Janet Van Dyne the Wasp are sharing their concerns. Serious concerns which are getting real close to becoming despair. The situation they are in, far removed from their homes on planet Earth, engaged in this battle against villains, not knowing what this Beyonder is or even close to understanding the power he holds, is taking its toll on the both of them. In the meantime, Magneto has found his target, namely the power core which energizes this entire installation and which would serve Magneto's purpose quite well. In a different part of the complex, Cyclops and Mr. Fantastic are sharing some thoughts and experiences. Scott tells Reed how he was on his honeymoon and wasn't even wearing his costume. Yet, when he appeared here, somehow he was wearing it. Reed finds this interesting. Just like how Professor X has told him how he had recently regained control over his legs, he had arrived here disabled and back in his wheelchair. It is as though the Beyonder had a hand in quote-unquote fixing little things which he deemed to be wrong or missing. Scott then tells Reed that he feels cheated out of his happiness by the Beyonder, something which he never had much of. Benjamin Grimm, the Thing, then walks in on these men talking and picks up a little bit of their conversation without them noticing it. Scott then apologizes to Reed for babbling like a fool, but Reed tells him that it's fine and that he misses his wife too. The Thing then keeps on walking, since these guys' conversation reminded him of the sad fact that he will probably never see his girlfriend Alicia ever again, and that might just be the best thing which could happen to her. In the meantime, Magneto is proceeding with his plans at the power core. He plans to use his powers to manipulate the flux of the fusion generator, resulting in a catastrophe which would serve as a diversion, bringing most of the heroes right here, while he will try and accomplish his goal. The Human Torch and Spider-Man are having a conversation at that time as well. Spider-Man asks Johnny if this whole situation really doesn't bug him. What if they don't get back home? But Johnny tells him that the Fantastic Four have been in outer space many times, and they've returned back to Earth every single time. He is not worried about that one bit, and that is when Spider-Man's spider sense goes off, alarming him of a certain kind of danger close by in the direction of the power plant. Johnny immediately ignites his powers to go and warn the others, while Spider-Man checks out the situation at the power core and tells Johnny to hurry up. The torch then creates a Fantastic Four's fire signal in the sky, which is being seen by both Mr. Fantastic and Cyclops. Within seconds, several of the heroes have made their way to the power plant, and they find some kind of metal ball-like construct bouncing out of the power plant, and Spider-Man is stuck inside of it. He tells them this was Magneto's doing, but they already figured as much. They approach Magneto, but he simply topples equipment right on top of them, and Cap tells Iron Man, the She-Hulk and the Thing to brace that stuff, or they will end up getting crushed by it. Things are not going exactly as Magneto had planned, but it doesn't matter. This will hold them back long enough for him to finish his business. He flies off, but is immediately followed by both the Thing and the Wasp, who have freed themselves from the debris. Magneto now realizes that he will need to pack the debris much more tightly around the Wasp because of her size. So he does. Magneto now has a change of plans since he has the Wasp captured like this, and decides to bring her along with him. Something which the Thing notices is slowing him down some, and he just needs to get closer a few more steps so he will be able to jump on Magneto's back. But then, out of nowhere, Benjamin Grimm reverts back to his human self. Something which he has not been able to do for almost as long as when he became the Thing many years ago. And Benjamin does not understand how or why this happened. Only moments later, the other heroes make their way from under the debris as well, and Mr. Fantastic is surprised to see his longtime friend and teammate back in human form again. But that is not their only concern. It took them too long to get out from under the debris, and Magneto has escaped in the meantime, and he has taken the Wasp prisoner with him. Monica Rambeau, the Avenger known as Captain Marvel, says it's now clear on whose side Magneto is, and she also notices how none of the X-Men showed up to fight Magneto. Captain America tells her to settle down and to focus on solving current problems rather than starting new ones. Hawkeye asks if they are going after Magneto, but Captain America tells him that Magneto's escape and the Wasp's reduction are not their only problems. There's more. There's a storm brewing and they are going to have their hands full right here very soon. He shows everyone that what he and the Hulk, Dr. Bruce Banner, have found out, by way of using these alien sensor screens, is that Galactus is still standing on the mountaintop with some kind of energy around him. And not only that, but these screens also show them all that there is some form of energy surrounding the villain's headquarters. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. You can help growing this channel by liking, subscribing and sharing. This tells YouTube that the videos I'm making should be recommended to others and would be very much appreciated. See you next episode.